Lycoris Recoil broke me. Well, almost at least. So this is the first show in a long time that has been able to truly bring me to tears. And that says a lot, as I am a person who does not tend to get very emotional over things. I don't cry during most sad movies or shows. I don't get extremely hyped up and excited during climactic scenes. But somehow, Lycoris Recoil pulled the emotions out of me by force. I watched this series once while it was airing, and then binged the entire thing again, just because of how hard it hit me. However, you might have noticed I said almost earlier. Well, the way that it ended was not exactly how I envisioned the possible dramatic finish for this series. And before we get into how this ending let me down, let's talk about what the show did right. I'm going to give a very basic summary of the early plot so that some of the later things in this video make sense. In this version of Japan, there is a corps of soldiers that maintain the peace from within the shadows. These soldiers are known as Lycoris. The Lycoris is primarily composed of high school aged girls who are very proficient in combat. These girls are raised from a young age to be taught how to use firearms to complete their missions along with other weaponry. Fast forward to the present day, where a mission regarding a huge arms deal goes wrong, resulting in one of the Lycoris being captured. The commander at the time is unable to communicate with headquarters and is frazzled, but one of her partners decides to stand up. Her name is Takina, and what she decides to do in order to save her fellow Lycoris is to shoot all the enemies, killing them and ultimately saving her fellow Lycoris. Headquarters is unhappy with her performance, however, since they have no intel on what was going to happen with those weapons, so Takina is sent off to work at a small branch located at a coffee shop named Lycoris. There she meets Chisato, a top-level Lycoris that is considered to be the absolute best of the best. Takina arrives at Lycoris with the ultimate goal of being allowed to come back and work at headquarters. Ultimately though, throughout their time together, Chisato is able to teach Takina what it means to truly live, and how she should do what she wants. Takina learns how to be her own person, not relying on her superiors to decide her life for her, and just enjoy the life she has been given. I spoke about Lycoris Recoil in my seasonal anime video, and I would say that my thoughts then are still similar, but 2 days after uploading that video, episode 9 was released, with the big twist of the series. Chisato is going to die. And she knows that. Behind that cheerful smile lies a girl who has accepted her mortality completely and has decided to live life to the fullest. When she was a child, Chisato had a congenital heart disease that meant she was going to die at a very young age. But with the help of the Allen Institute, Chisato receives an artificial heart to help her live a longer life. This heart is not perfect though, as it was only able to help her reach the age of 18. Her time is ultimately cut short when the Allen Institute, specifically Yoshimatsu, decided that Chisato was not fulfilling her purpose, and she is given 2 months to live. Chisato lives her whole life knowing that she will not have a long one, and decides to live it freely. Much of the way Chisato behaves can be connected to the story of her childhood. She chooses not to kill, using plastic bullets, because she was given a second chance at life, and refuses to take time away from anyone else. Her happy-go-lucky attitude is one side of a coin that appears when a person is close to death. When us humans are faced with the inevitability that is death, we typically have two different reactions. One that is quite positive, and one that can be detrimental. The more common mindset, which can be detrimental, is dread. This comes from thinking about how far from death one might be. Dread is a feeling that haunts many people when they are given a time limit. This feeling of an impending doom can weigh down on us, causing much more negative thoughts. Regrets might also seem to resurface themselves with thoughts like, I could have done X better, or I should have just done Y. But Chisato is on the other side of this coin. She knows that she will die, and rather than thinking she only has this long until she dies, she interprets it as how long she has to live. She is seeing the glass half full and decides that with this time she has, she will make the absolute most out of it. In the episodes following the reveal, we see other characters preparing to move on from this part of their life, as without Chisato, Lycoris won't exist. Mizuki is planning to leave and find a boyfriend. Kurumi is looking at fleeing the country for fear of being arrested because of her time as Walnut. Maki begins looking for work once the cafe is closed down. Takina returns to DA like she always wanted to, but with a new attitude now that she has been influenced by Chisato. But then a new mission comes up. Majima, Oh yeah, he's like the main antagonist of the show. We'll get back to him later though. Majima has put guns all over Tokyo in order to stir up the masses, as well as exposing the existence of the Lycoris. He also had Yoshimatsu held captive to draw Chisato out, as she was his true target. This is how the final stretch of the show starts. Chisato and Maki go to help Yoshimatsu, and Takina ditches her current mission in order to get to Yoshimatsu. Majima is defeated, and Yoshimatsu tells Chisato that the only way to get her new heart is to take it from inside of him, ultimately killing him. He stakes his life on trying to make Chisato kill, as this is what he has always wanted. Obviously, Chisato does not go through with it, as she holds firm to her belief of not taking time from anyone else. Takina still doesn't share that belief, so she goes after Yoshimatsu, trying to kill him so that she could save Chisato, but that is not what she wants. Chisato tells Takina, "I don't want to live if this is what it costs." She refuses to allow Takina to kill Yoshimatsu, once again showing how she has accepted the fact that she does not have a lot of time remaining. Then the final episode rolls around. The Lilybell, aka the male Lycoris counterpart, have been drawn back. The public believes it was all a stunt, a performance put on by the government. But then, Majima gets back up, and the rivalry between Chisato and Majima that has been built up since the beginning is all coming to an end in a 1 versus 1. Before getting into it, let me give you a little insight into why this is such an important fight. Majima is essentially the evil Chisato. Now, this might be a quite overdone trope in most superhero comics. Some examples being the Flash with half of his villains, Superman with Bizarro, Spider-Man and Venom, and the list goes on and on and on. But this trope is brought to its fullest potential with Majima and Chisato. Majima is also a child of the Allen Institute. Very similarly to Chisato, he is recognized for his talent of unaliving people. He just took his talent in the opposite direction of Chisato. Instead of avoiding taking life at all costs after being saved, he did not care how many lives had to be taken for his cause. If we look back into the past of this world at the Tokyo Tower incident, we discover that the terrorist group responsible for this included Majima, and the Lycoris deployed to deal with this was a young Chisato, but she does not remember this. This event is what links the two characters and built up a one-sided rivalry in him. Majima is a villain based in reality. He does not believe he is the bad guy here. The way he sees things, DA is the villain of this story that he is fighting against. To Majima, DA is a villain corporation that aims to shield the people of Tokyo from the truth of this world. That the peace they experience is one that has been completely fabricated from the lies that DA has created. Majima has this morality known as the blue and orange morality, where he does not have a typical view of good versus evil. This causes him to fight for what he believes to be the weaker side, aka the terrorists. He even states at one point that if DA was the weaker side here, he would be fighting for them. In the final episode, Chisato and Majima are in a shootout trying to defeat the other for completely different reasons. Chisato for the reason of protecting everyone else, and Majima simply for the reason of proving his superiority over Chisato. The choreography of the many stages of this fight is absolutely beautiful. The use of the background with how the characters fight was just amazing. You can tell there are two sides of the same coin battling to be victorious. One thing that I found very interesting was at one point in the fight, Chisato's weakening heart starts to wear her down, and Majima tells her to rest because he wants to beat her at her best. They then go on this long talk where they discuss their ideals and how they wish to live. After some time talking though, Majima sets a timer for a massive surprise, and the fight ensues once more. This gives Chisato the motivation to fight once more. It eventually gets to the point where Majima feels disappointed in Chisato due to her apparent weakness, and as he is about to
bang 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 bang
Chisato, Takina jumps in and joins the battle for a little before it seems everything is coming to an end. The glass dome of a battlefield is falling out from beneath our heroes and time is running out. Chisato is running after the phone to stop the potential doom from occurring, but then the glass shatters. Majima, Chisato, and the phone begin to fall towards the ground. Takina luckily is able to catch Chisato with a wire, but the phone continues to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. But then nothing blows up. It turns out that Majima had rigged up fireworks to go off once the timer hit 0. Majima did not want to harm the general public. In the end, he simply wanted a full-on showdown against Chisato. This fight sequence was quite well done, with beautiful choreography showing the internal battle raging between these two possible routes a person can go down in their scenario. But afterwards, we are still left with the fact that Chisato is dying, and there is nothing she can do about it. Well, unless she had some kind of plot armor, but there's no way they would do that, right? Well, after the fight, it is alluded that Chisato is dead, only to be revealed that she had just gone off the grid. How is she alive? Well, it turns out that Maki was the one who would go through with killing Yoshimatsu to allow Chisato to live. Of course, Chisato has no idea of this, and is led to believe that there was a spare heart in the briefcase, and that Yoshimatsu lied about implanting the heart within himself. For me, this feels like a very cop-out way to keep Chisato alive. It would have been quite interesting to have Chisato either be forced into killing, causing a very interesting case of dissonance within her, or having Chisato watch or know of Takina killing Yoshimatsu in order to save Chisato. This could have led to a very complex relationship between Chisato and Takina. They could also have just let Chisato die, with a very heartwarming scene where she dies in Takina's arms, and Takina takes on Chisato's mission of keeping people safe without taking anyone's time. This setup would have perfectly allowed a season 2 that focuses on the journey that Takina goes through following Chisato's death. How does Takina grieve with the loss of her greatest friend? How does she struggle to maintain and follow through with Chisato's mission? Can Takina live up to Chisato's position of the #1 Lycoris? These questions could have been answered through a second season where Chisato had died, but we will not get to see how this could have possibly played out. It also feels as though there ended up being very little stakes, as everything ended up being solved and wrapped up with a little bow. The only big effect the character took as a result of this ending was Maki, who had to kill Yoshimatsu, who we are led to believe is Maki's lover. However, this does not feel as though it affected Maki from what we had seen in the last portion of the episode. This could of course be possibly explained on in a second season, but it unfortunately feels as though there is nowhere for the story to continue from here, since our main gang has left from Japan and by default DA as well, so a second season would not be able to keep the Lycoris Recoil vibe. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not trying to bash on the show. Honestly, it was probably my favorite from the season, and that's why I'm being so critical. I feel the show had such amazing potential to give a great emotional ending that puts everyone in tears, so this seemingly happy ending we were given was slightly disappointing for me. I am totally open to the writers proving me completely wrong through a second season though. I mean, they show us that Majima managed to survive the fall and will continue disrupting the peace. They could have a second season following Majima after the battle with Chisato as he attempts to find her once again for a final battle to the death, one that forces Chisato to either go against her ideals or possibly lose the one she loves most. But only time will tell what this show may hold. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and commenting, as these are some of the most immediate ways to show support. If you want to hear more about anime as they come out, consider subscribing and check out this video on screen for information about all the summer 2022 anime. I'll also be doing a video over all the fall anime from 2022, so keep an eye out for that. Anyways, once again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!